Hey guys, it's Dave Ward, your certified P90X trainer and coach. And today I'm going to talk about when to switch phases in the P90X nutrition guide and kind of what to look for. I've got a group right now who is, they're like right in the middle of the third week. And this is about the time when I'm really encouraging people to at least think about it, okay? And so what I do with those individuals is I ask a lot of questions. And really, I guess at the top, what I want to really encourage you to do is to get a hold of me because there is no standard answer for when you want to move from one phase to another. The phases are, everybody's going to respond differently to the phases depending on where you're at. So I guess let me talk about the three phases first. And I've got my P90X certification manual here just for reference purposes. But phase one is a fat shredder phase, okay? And so that's a high protein, low carb plan. It's about 50% protein, 30% carbs. I think people get really focused on high protein, high protein, high protein. It's really a low carb plan, okay? So when you limit carbohydrate intake, that's usually, for most people, going to encourage some weight loss. So if you don't have a lot of weight to lose, spending a lot of time in phase one may not be real productive for you. But if you do have a fair amount of weight to lose, or if maybe you're at the same point where you're sort of 2.5 weeks into it, and you're not seeing the results you want, and one of those results is weight loss, then sticking with phase one and continuing to limit carbohydrate intake might just be the thing that enables you to keep going down that path. P90X certification manual says a maximum of 6 weeks in phase one. I've seen people do it for a lot longer than that who need to, and they continue to get results. Phase two is the energy booster phase. That's probably the most well-rounded, normal program. We're talking about 40% carbs, 40% protein, and 30 or 20% fat rather. And then the endurance maximizer, which I think really, the only people I would recommend that to are people who are either at a super elite fitness level or are doing some endurance training. So that's going to be 20% protein, 20% fat, and the remainder carbs. That's a lot of carbs. That's a lot of carbs, and you may need those carbs. I don't do as much triathlon or cycling as I used to, but I used to do a lot of that stuff. And I needed a lot of carbs because I was burning through those carbs. Those provide, carbohydrate provide your main source of energy while you're working out. They get converted into a substance called glycogen. And that glycogen is what your body burns when you put it under a lot of stress, okay? You burn more of it doing cardio-based exercises than you do during strength training, but that's your fuel, okay? So one of the things you have to look at is how much of that are you really burning, okay? So let's go back to the question of, is it time to move on? The first thing I want to know from people is, are you drinking enough water? You should be drinking at least half your body weight in ounces, okay? A lot of times what happens for people and causes them to question whether they should be switching nutrition phases is they're not losing weight as rapidly as they'd really like to. Sometimes that's your body just holding on to water, and your body's becoming more efficient at burning fat, but your body is just holding on to water. The only way to get your body to really release that water is to drink more of it, okay? So let's not look for complicated answers when the answer maybe is just as simple as you're not drinking water, okay? The next thing is energy levels, okay? So for those people who, in my group specifically, who are, mid-third week, how do you feel is the question. And what I'm trying to get them to pay attention to is your energy level. Are you really lethargic? Are you bouncing off the walls? How do you feel during your workouts? Are you able to get through the workouts? And if so, how do you feel at the end of the workouts? Because what I know is that if at the end of the workout, on maybe like a plyometrics workout, if you're so gassed that all you can do is really take a nap, you're not getting enough carbs. That's probably the case. Is you're going to need more carbohydrates. Okay, so that's time to consider either tweaking phase one a little bit and maybe just adding an extra carbohydrate serving, or just going on to phase two. So, that's the next thing, energy level. Where are you at with that? How are you feeling? And again, those are just individualized things. It's hard for me to sit here on camera and give you the 19 different answers that people give me when I ask them, how are you feeling and how are your energy levels? But I want to look at energy levels and things like sleep patterns to try and determine, is it time for you to move on or not? The other one's weight loss. Again, not everybody who picks up P90X wants to lose weight, but I think that's, at this point, become the most common clients that I deal with are people who want to lose weight. And if they get to this halfway point in week 3 and they haven't lost any weight, we got to take a look at something. The first thing is the workouts. How are the workouts going? Are you able to do all of the workouts? I put together a modified plan, which you can find on my website, that basically just cuts the workouts in half, and that's for people who, I designed that for people who already had P90X, wanted to do P90X, they didn't want to go down and do like a Power 90 type of program, which is what I normally would recommend, or a T25, I think that's a great program too, I'm doing that right now. And they wanted to do P90X because they already had it. So, if you're doing that modified schedule, you're burning fewer calories. So that's kind of what we're looking at when we're judging these workouts, is how many calories are you burning? Because the next question is nutrition. Okay, and I start with workouts not because I think the workouts are more important than nutrition, because I really don't. I really feel nutrition is at least 75% of weight loss and weight maintenance and muscle gain. The workouts are going to help you make your body able to accept those changes that you're forcing through, whether they're cardiovascular or muscle-based or flexibility, whatever it is that you're sort of after, or weight loss. But if you don't eat right, it's not going to make any difference. The first time I did P90X, I did not change my nutrition at all. I kept eating pizza and drinking beer. And I got some results, but my results really weren't that great. This was in 2004. And in 2007, when I did P90X, I guess that would have been a third time. Yeah, about the third time I did it. Finally, I decided I got to clean up the nutrition. All of a sudden, I saw major gains. And I've just seen that with every workout program, whether it was trying to gain muscle doing Body Beast, or trying to become a better triathlete or cyclist. Nutrition is really the main thing that's going to influence it. So let's look at that. And when you're doing that, it's important that you have a critical eye and that you're really honest, okay? So a lot of times I'll be talking to people and I'm pretty sure they're not being honest with me. And that doesn't help anybody. I mean, because what I know is that after 2.5 weeks, if you've been eating, if you were eating 3,500 calories a day, and for 2.5 weeks you're eating 2,000 calories a day that are clean, whole foods, things with one ingredient, like a strawberry has one ingredient, chicken is a one ingredient food, okay? A Cliff Bar is not a one ingredient food. That's it. If you flip over the label and look at that, there's all kinds of stuff in there. Well, I don't even know what that stuff is, so don't eat that stuff, right? So if for 2.5 weeks you've, all of a sudden cut your calories by 1,500 and you've gone from eating McDonald's to eating whole food, I'm expecting to see some results, and so it could be a lot of things. Are you drinking sodas? Are you somehow throwing off the ratios of the fat shredder plan by maybe taking in juice? Really high glycemic index stuff like juice is just packed with sugar. I mean, juice is just fruit without the fiber, and the fiber is what slows down the absorption of those sugars. So if you're drinking juice, you're kind of throwing this out the window unless you're doing it as a recovery, which is a totally different topic. I've got another good video on that. If you want, I can link you to that. So these are really the considerations from phase 1 to phase 2. Most people, if weight loss is your thing, I mean, I just give you the general. If weight loss is your thing and you're not seeing it yet, it's not time to switch. Don't go to phase 2. Stick in phase 1. Let's keep this carb count low. Let's get your body used to that, okay? The other thing that happens for people is if they've had a really high carbohydrate diet for an extended period of time, by which I mean a couple of years or more, body becomes accustomed to burning sugar rather than fat. It can take more than 2.5 weeks for your body to figure out that you're just not going to give it those sugars or carbs, same thing, anymore. And what you're in fact going to ask it to rely on is fat as its primary source of energy. It can take time to turn your body into a fat burning machine. Be patient with that process, okay? One of the things you have to think about is how long it took you to gain this weight. You know, is this a real quick overnight thing? I mean, sometimes with a lot of women, you know, they were in really, really great shape, and then they got pregnant, had a baby, went through the whole breastfeeding thing, and they gained a fair amount of weight in a short period of time, relatively short period of time, and due to a natural sort of thing that happens in their body. So it's not a result of eating a lot of bad food over an extended period of time. It's just sort of a natural thing that happens as part of childbirth. Well, you can expect your body to bounce back a lot quicker, most likely, okay? It may not be 2.5 weeks, but you should expect your body to bounce back quicker because you haven't given it a long term to learn how to be a sugar burner, okay? But, and again, you need to have a critical eye and be honest when you're making these assessments with yourself. But if instead you spent the last 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years maybe consuming a primarily high carbohydrate, high fat diet, drinking a lot of soda, drinking a lot of juice, drinking a lot of coffee, and not drinking a lot of water, it's really unreasonable for you to expect your body is going to make a dramatic turnaround in 2.5 weeks. That's just not realistic, okay? 90 days may not be realistic, okay? You should be seeing some results in 90 days. I'm really over-exaggerating that. But, you know, 21 days is not enough time to really see that, you know, that dramatic of a change. So, you know, again, be honest with yourself as you're making these assessments. And if that latter scenario is you, don't freak out, okay? It's not time to go to phase 2 for sure. We may want to tweak some other stuff. You're going to want to start drinking a lot more water. Let's start with that. If you're doing that modified P90X plan, let's start pushing beyond the modified plan. Let's start doing more and more of the workouts, okay? But don't think the answer lies in switching to phase 2 if weight loss is your thing. Now, if weight loss is not your primary goal, maybe you wanted to lose a few pounds and that's happened for you because your body was already, you know, pretty accustomed to a lower carbohydrate diet. It's okay to move on to phase 2 now. You know, if your goal here is to build some muscle, go for it. Phase 2 is going to help you because that additional carbohydrates, when you put your body under stress, like with a program like P90X, your body, A, needs the carbohydrates in order to get all that glycogen into your system and really fuel things. But B, it's also going to support muscle growth. You know, when I'm doing a program like Body Beast, during the bulk phase of that, when you're really trying to pack on muscle, it's a really high carbohydrate plan. I mean, it's more into like a phase 3 of the P90X plan. I wouldn't suggest that you go there just yet. And I don't think going from phase 1 to phase 3 is a real good idea. You definitely want to go to phase 2, spend, you know, some time there, notice what happens with your body, okay? So those are kind of the general things I'm looking at. So, you know, what I really want to, again, encourage you guys to do is just contact me, okay? Get a hold of me, shoot me an email. My email address is info@thefitclubnetwork.com. I'll put it on the screen here. Shoot me an email. Let's talk about it. When you do, if you can give me some of the information and the things that I've talked about, you know, where you started, where you're at today, what your goals are, what you expected to see, and maybe what you're not seeing, or what you've seen already. That's all information. I'm going to ask you those questions anyway, so if you can just kind of cut to the chase, I guess, that's going to help me help you. So hopefully you found this helpful. I think it's one of the major things we deal with in P90X, especially, you know, at this time where, you know, week 2, week 3, getting ready to approach recovery week, it's when people start to think about, am I getting some results here? And if not, is it maybe because I need to change phases? And it's also one of the most confusing things about P90X, I think. I mean, the general workout's pretty straightforward. Here's the calendar, put the DVD in, and go to work. This is a little bit more complex, and the real reason is because it's really specific to each individual. All right, guys. That's it for me. Again, please get a hold of me. I'm more than happy to help you get results that you are looking for with this incredible program.